Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 18th, and today we're taking a look at this strong storm system diving into the northern tip of Vancouver Island. You can see it on the infrared satellite imagery spinning up here nicely. You can see the cold air associated with it casting this powerful gradient across the region. You can see its subtropical tap all the way back to the system out over the Pacific that's bringing some unsettled weather to the Hawaiian Islands. We're going to take a look at the surface observations here in a moment and see what the winds are gusting now. Looks like things are just starting to pick up through the Puget Sound. We've got some pretty hefty gusts elsewhere across the region. We'll take a look at those coming up. Here's the water vapor loop. This shows that subtropical connection nicely all the way back down to the tropics here, bringing some precipitation across the region, mainly a higher elevation, heavy precipitation type of storm. But we'll take a look at some of those totals as well coming up here. So jumping right into things here. First of all, let's check out northern Vancouver Island there. Look at this, Herbert Island, 69 miles per hour. That's an incredible gust. Bellingham International Airport, 55 miles per hour. We're getting some 49 mile per hour gusts in the San Juans. I think Whidbey Island checked in with, if I'm not mistaken, 51 miles per hour. So a very impressive windstorm going on right now. Quileute gusting 43. Seattle's still at 24 last time I checked. We are getting some gusts here now at my house to 28 miles per hour. So things are just picking up now. Olympia 37. I think Tacoma Narrows was at 37 last time I checked. Let's look at that. There it is. And down here for Tacoma McCord at 33 miles per hour. So things should be picking up through the Puget Sound here in the next couple of hours. Let's check out the Hood Canal Bridge gusting 40 miles per hour currently as we speak. Port Townsend 37. So things are still going to be continuing to be windy during the day today. And we'll check back on these observations before we leave here. The last thing, you can see we do have a wind advisory for the entire Puget Sound area all the way up through Bellingham, Washington coast, mainly ocean shores northward. And for eastern Washington, we have blowing dust advisory. Visibility could be zero at times, folks. If you're traveling, going eastbound on I-90 or Highway 2 across eastern Washington, heads up for that blowing dust. You can rapidly drop that visibility to zero. So heads up there. There is wind advisories for much of the area. Hazardous weather outlooks for the storm just blasting through the area here today. And they're talking about this blowing dust, crosswinds, and rough lakes. Look at Ellensburg up to 50 miles per hour. Yakima 50 miles per hour possible. So nice intense storm rolling through here. So taking a look at this is precipitable water anomaly here, and you can see the subtropical tap all the way back into the tropics here. And if we put this into motion, you'll see that spin up there on the northern tip of Vancouver Island, and you see that dry, cooler air moving behind it. It's that gradient between this colder air marching into our region that's bringing these high winds, 69 miles per hour on the northern tip of Vancouver Island there. So looking at the European, here is our it's bringing up the most recent run here. You can see this system was developing as it made landfall. And look at this. It's come in lower than what the models had progged. 992, 985, 986 as it made landfall on northern tip of Vancouver Island. So the European did not have this low pressure this strong. So we actually trended stronger in the last few hours as this system made landfall. And that's why we're getting some pretty extreme gusts. 55 Bellingham, 51 Whidbey Island, and 69 on the northern tip of Vancouver Island. So checking this out here, NAM 3KM, this is the gust swath. You can see 40 miles per hour for Seattle could be expected today. 47 for Tacoma there. The Narrows, looks like they're pegging it for 47. Olympia 40. Kitsap Peninsula 47. You can see those big gusts up towards Whidbey Island, the San Juans, Bellingham, the Washington coast. Quileute should be picking up here shortly also. And you can see those really high winds here out over the higher terrain behind Mount Rainier and the Naches near Yakima. So checking out the HER, same thing here. Let's check out the gust swath. The latest HER has 38 for Seattle proper, but probably a little bit higher for SeaTac, probably towards 40 miles per hour down here. And the Tacoma area kind of highlighted there, 47, 43, Olympia 38. You can see the big winds for Bellingham, Whidbey Island, and San Juan. So good agreement there, and those were already materializing. Here's the European gust swath. As we put this into motion here, look at this, 43 for Seattle during the day today. So that could cause some nuisance power outages. So heads up, if your power flickers or goes out, you'll know why. These winds are going pretty good, especially near the water and the shorelines here for Puget Sound. So we do have a wind advisory up, and you can see those gusts already materializing. And you'll notice this, like for Bellingham, it only pegged 43 as the highest gust and already got well above that with 55, a noticeably stronger gust there. So we'll see how these wind speeds materialize across the Puget Sound as we go through the day today. Just wanted to show you guys the wave heights too as we go through. You can see these really picking up during the day today. So heads up if you're out on the ocean there, watch for those sneaker waves and those Wave heights increasing through the afternoon today, and then those should be tapering off during the day tomorrow and should calm down quite a bit by this weekend too for any beachgoers out there on the Washington, Oregon coast. So checking out here, precipitation totals, you can see as the system marches in, it really targeting Vancouver Island here up towards the Queen Charlottes. Higher terrain for British Columbia, Olympic Mountains, of course, Southern Cascades, getting a good shot of precipitation with this. You'll see the Puget Sound, a lot of it remains rain shadow, but there is going to be a convergent zone that sets up across the North Sound, north of Seattle. It's going to get some good precipitation amounts in there. And look at this, kind of just blanks California all together. Look at this as we go out. Here are 50 hours, 60 hours out. California just gets blanked. As does much of eastern Washington too. Rain shadowed by the Cascade Mountains there. Cascades picking up all that excess precipitation there. Some of it in the form of snow. We'll check out snow totals here in a moment and look at some really good precipitation amounts for the Rockies of BC, Idaho, and Montana. This is really good for drought conditions out there and for summer water stream flow as well. Now, checking out temperatures here, let's see, how much do we warm up today? You can see that warm field out here as it moves inland today, and we get up into the upper 50s. It's not going to be too chilly today, but then as the system moves through, it's going to get pretty chilly into tomorrow morning, and we are going to be colder tomorrow during the day. Probably some snow falling through the Cascades all the way down to the Oregon Cascades, especially the morning hours of Thursday, so heads up if you're traveling across the passes. And we're going to continue these blustery conditions on in through the day Thursday across most of the eastern portions of Washington and Oregon as well. So checking out total snowfall amounts, you can see today and tonight bringing it North Cascades and the higher terrain of British Columbia. And as we go through Thursday morning, some snow for the Cascades of Oregon there. You can see Snoqualmie Pass looks to pick up a bit. Stevens is going to pick up a little bit more though, however. So if you're traveling across, again, heads up. And good snowfall amounts for British Columbia, higher terrain here. This is a good omen there for summertime wildfires. The snowpack is really good for keeping the ground wet. The snow melts nice and uniformly usually and keeps the ground wetter versus just when you get a heavy rain, a lot of that rain will run off. Snow, when you build it up, it kind of melts into the ground slower and saturates the ground better. And we just got a 33-mile-per-hour gust here at my house. So it's probably starting to get loud upstairs, so I'll go check that out as soon as I'm done here. But here's the European. Looking at the extended a little bit here, it goes our strong system into northern Vancouver Island, slides off to the east, and look, we build some ridging up here for the weekend. We might have a couple warm days this weekend. I mean, this would be cause for celebration up here in Seattle. Looks like a little bit of a thermal trough coming through California here as this low pressure sags down across interior British Columbia down through Montana. We get some offshore flow even going in some areas. So we'll watch for that tomorrow. We'll concentrate a little bit more on that tomorrow as this high pressure moves back here. The thermal trough tries to creep up into southern Oregon. Now here's for the GFS, looking at this weekend's temperatures just briefly here too. Look at Saturday, nice upper 60s Seattle, down through 70s through the Willamette Valley, eastern Washington doing pretty good too. And going in through Sunday, let's back that up a little bit for the high temperature. Look at low 70s for Seattle. I think there'd probably be a parade or something if this happens. But it's looking more and more likely we're going to have a nice weekend here across Pacific Northwest. So looking at mean ridge and trough position here on in through the extended. Let's back up a little bit here so we can go out further into this run. Here we go into this weekend, that ridge kind of holding its position out here, and then we drop another trough that's going to clip the region, build another ridge next week, but then look at this, some troughing maybe in the extended. Never seems to be too far away, but we do have some nice days potentially coming up in this type of a pattern with the GFS. Now let's check out the European. Actually, let's back up to the actual control run here. There goes our system today. Trough drags down, brings some cold air Thursday, gusty conditions, eastern portions during the day Thursday. Ridge builds with the trough inland now here as the high pressure starts to build back in across British Columbia. And we might get this nice weekend coming up, looking more and more likely. And we'll discuss this a little bit more tomorrow. We'll check out the probabilities of this occurring. But then off into later May, looks like we bring some troughing back onto the west coast here. Look at this. This would probably spawn some severe weather across central portions of the USA too, as a deep trough setting up offshore. But we have plenty of time to watch that materialize. So Friday Harbor here, you can see how the European trended a little bit stronger with the winds, and that's kind of what's materializing here into the low 50s for Friday Harbor. Seattle Tacoma generally settled about 40, 41 miles per hour. So we'll see how that measures out today here. As we just gusted 34 miles per hour on my house, so things are starting to pick up here through the Puget Sound. Astoria, you can see, not a big blow for them. This is mainly a Washington, British Columbia event for the most part, but eastern portions of Oregon will be getting some good gusty winds out of the west, especially the higher terrain. Quileute, you can see it settled just in the upper 40s there. They've already got 43, so expect a little bit windier through the day today for Quileute. Bellingham, you can see the European just plain underdid it here. 55 miles per hour already for Bellingham. The European said mid-40s. So that's a pretty significant difference in strength of wind gust there. Seattle, Tacoma, look at this weekend. Look at the 65, 67, and these will probably trend warmer if we continue to show this ridging building up offshore here. So this looks nice for this weekend. Then maybe some troughing coming on later, but we have plenty of time to look at that on in through next week. We'll check that out tomorrow. Portland International, look at this. Nice weekend potentially on tap, looking more and more likely, and then maybe back down to the troughing for the extended. So again, looking one more time here at the infrared satellite imagery, kind of the glory of this storm moving in on the northern tip of Vancouver Island. Just a classic winter or fall storm, really. And we're getting this in mid, almost late May now. Some really impressive gusts. Like I said before, 69 on the northern tip of Vancouver Island, 55 in Bellingham, 51 Whidbey Island. Now 36 at my house now. The last gust just came through, so it is picking up out there. I just need 3 more miles per hour, and this would be my first May windstorm ever on record here at this location. I've been here 10 years now and never received a windstorm here in the month of May. So we'll check that out. We'll see how that does. Let's go ahead and check these observations one more time here. Check this out here on Sedge Ridge, 58 miles per hour out there just west of Yakima near the Indian Reservation there. And checking out some of the buoys out here, 42 miles per hour just off the Oregon coast here. Checking out buoy 46206, 47 miles per hour. That's close to Barkley Sound and Vancouver Island. And checking out Ellis Mountain, 43 miles per hour now. Bellingham still topped out at 55. That's probably what is going to be their peak for today. Let's zoom in a little bit more on Whidbey Island here and see if anything else has occurred. 51 miles per hour. 53 there, Camano Island. Nice. Nice gust there. What an impressive storm here for May. 53 miles per hour. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some power outages and some tree branches down from this wind. And there's another Camano Island observation coming in 41 miles per hour. Port Townsend 35. Port Townsend Jefferson County International Airport 25. And 38 there. And now checking out towards Port Angeles. They've topped out at 28. Not too bad, but you can see how the winds are much less here. Coral Springs, Squim, only 11 miles per hour. They're just totally wind sheltered at this point. There is going to be some good gusts coming down the strait after the storm moves through, but I still don't think that Squim's going to get much wind out of that. So another reason, if you don't like stormy weather, to move to Squim. Race Rocks, look at this, 49 miles per hour. I think this is a new gust out there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's check out here. Look at this Sheringham Automatic Weather Reporting System, 32 miles per hour. So not the full force of the gust there too. Saturna Island, check that out, 52 miles per hour. What an impressive storm. So anyway, the wind should be picking up through the Puget Sound today. This is the ferry terminal up here, 44 miles per hour. So pretty region-wide windy. And again, we have this wind advisory for the Puget Sound, San Juans, Whidbey Island, Washington Coast, and for most of eastern Washington as well as that blowing dust advisory. So heads up if you're traveling again. I know I'm repeating myself now. A little bit excited about this storm. So we have a pretty nice storm rolling through here, a memorable May storm. So we're probably going to remember this for years to come here, especially if we get some 40 mile per hour gusts here through the Puget Sound. And yeah, so watch out for those nuisance power outages. Watch out for falling branches. You know, don't try to remain safe during the storm here, and especially if you're traveling out through eastern Washington. Look at this. They have this blowing dust advisory, reduced visibility locally 1 mile or less. George to Ritzville to Tri-City. So heads up for that if you're out and about. And so, yeah, we'll take a look at this again tomorrow. We're going to take a look at these temperatures for the weekend coming up. Looks like a pretty nice weekend coming up. Enjoy this storm, and we'll look at things on the extended a little bit more detail tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys later.